WNBA and the Indiana Fever did not want people to know that Caitlin Clark was going to be out for the season. I can tell you, from the very day that they decided to let that go public, everything has dropped off a cliff.
The WNBA has officially entered joke territory. Ratings are crashing, ticket sales are drying up, and suddenly the Indiana Fever are told, scratch that, ordered to play in Atlanta. And why? Because Caitlin Clark isn't on the court. The league must have thought fans wouldn't catch on, but spoiler alert, they did. What we're watching is a full-blown circus play out in real time. Here's the real question. Do you honestly believe the WNBA could even make it through an entire season without Caitlin Clark carrying the spotlight? Drop your thoughts below. Let's keep it real. The league is scrambling. The numbers expose everything. The second news broke about Caitlin Clark's season-ending injury, fan interest didn't just dip, it fell off a cliff. 1 week, arenas were packed. ESPN bragged about record-breaking viewership, and fans were traveling across states just to see the Fever. The next, empty rows, quiet crowds, and TV ratings that look more like graveyard shift reruns than a major sports league.
People were trying to hang on to the possibility this whole time. Look, so many people stayed engaged with the team because they thought the cavalry was coming. She's coming back. We're going to have a fighting chance to win the WNBA championship. The Indiana Fever and the WNBA, they knew this.
And now the league actually believes shifting Indiana's games to Atlanta will fix everything. Atlanta? Really? As if swapping arenas somehow replaces your biggest star. That's not strategy, that's desperation. Let's back it up. When Caitlin Clark was on the floor, the WNBA struck gold. ESPN made her the headline every night. Her games pulled ratings the league hadn't touched in decades. Millions tuning in, clips going viral, social media on fire. The Fever weren't just a team, they were the attraction. Every away game turned into a home crowd because fans traveled just to see her play. But here's the truth bomb. The WNBA and the Fever front office knew she wasn't coming back. They stayed quiet. They let fans hold on to false hope, teasing the idea she might return for a playoff run. Why? Because they knew the second the truth dropped, the hype train would derail. And that's exactly what happened. Look at Baltimore. Almost 3,000 ticket-holding fans never even walked through the doors. These weren't maybe buyers. These were paying customers who had their seats locked in and still said, forget it, not worth it. That's not just losing interest. That's fans feeling flat out betrayed. People thought they were buying tickets for Caitlin Clark. Instead, they got a watered down WNBA product with no refunds in sight.
People felt like they were going to games thinking this team would have Caitlin Clark coming back to make a championship run. I mean, the perfect example, the game in Baltimore the other day with the Mystics. Nearly 3,000 fans decided not to show up, and they paid for the ticket.
Now ESPN wants to act like everything's business as usual. They throw out fancy stats about year-over-year growth and best averages in decades. But let's be real, those numbers exploded because of one name, Caitlin Clark. She was the headline. She was the viral clip. She was the logo threes and no-look passes lighting up social media. Take her out of the picture, and what's left? A flat 90,000 viewer broadcast that feels more like background noise than professional sports. Think about it. One of their so-called marquee matchups couldn't even crack 6 figures in viewership. That's YouTube creator territory. Honestly, some high school state finals pull bigger crowds, and yet the league still marches around pretending nothing's wrong. But here's the harsh reality. The sky isn't clear. It's caving in.
Before Caitlin Clark's season-ending injury, WNBA tickets were averaging $89. The moment she went down, price crashed nearly 30%, plummeting to $62 a seat. That's kind of crazy. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but obviously the biggest reason is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark literally being out, and again, she's only on one team, but very big chunk of the total attendance in WNBA is from the Indiana Fever.
This is Kathy Engelbert's worst case scenario. She gambled everything on the belief that the WNBA could grow beyond a single superstar. But now the truth is staring everyone in the face. Without Caitlin Clark, the league isn't trending, isn't buzzing, and isn't even part of everyday sports talk. And here comes the most ridiculous move yet, shifting Indiana Fever games to Atlanta, because nothing says our league is strong, quite like uprooting a team just to squeeze a few extra ticket sales out of another city. Do they really believe Atlanta fans will suddenly care about Indiana without Clark? What's next? Free hot dogs with every seat. The math doesn't check out. And let's be clear, this isn't a new trick. The NBA tried forcing certain markets into the spotlight for TV deals years ago, and it blew up in their faces. The WNBA is repeating history. You can't manufacture passion. Fans either care or they don't. And right now, without Caitlin Clark, they absolutely don't.
So yeah, a lot of teams, whether it be the Lynx opening the upper bowl, whether it be the Wings, the Dream, the Sky, all of these teams moving games. All of these teams are moving games for the Indiana Fever, regardless of who it is. They all have to sell those seats. And a lot of people don't want to go, and it's super cheap. Like, it's a lot easier to fill a 10,000 seat arena without Caitlin Clark than to fill 20,000. So you're going to have to find a way to do it anyway, which is what a lot of people are going to be doing, trying to sell tickets. The seats for the playoffs, I would say the Indiana Fever playoff seats would have been, honestly, like nearly $1,000 in. I actually think had Caitlin Clark been playing, it would be nearly $1,000 into this game.
Let's break down the numbers again. Before Caitlin Clark's injury announcement, the Fever versus. Sky Game featuring Clark and Angel Reese pulled in 2.7 million viewers. That's bigger than some MLB primetime broadcasts. But after she went down, Fever versus Mystics scraped together just 270,000. Fever versus Lynx barely crossed 1 million. And those big market matchups, New York, Las Vegas, they aren't saving the day either. Aja Wilson is phenomenal, no question, but the casual fan isn't tuning in, and the players know it. They see the half-empty arenas. They see ESPN stop blasting their highlights. They feel the silence online. Angel Reese? One week she's crowned the face of the league. The next, she's sulking about minutes, sitting out with tightness, or rumored to be unhappy with her team. And outside of hardcore WNBA Twitter, hardly anyone even notices. Because here's the reality. Fans tuned in for Clark, not for the soap opera, not for the league's marketing spin. Clark was the draw. Without her, those checks get smaller, and everyone in the locker room knows it. The energy shift is undeniable. When Clark was on the court, every play felt like an event. Every foul brought out roars and boos like it was the playoffs. Now, you can hear sneakers squeaking louder than the crowd. That's not atmosphere. That's dead air. And yet the league's solution is to move Indiana games to Atlanta. Really? Atlanta, a city where their own WNBA team struggles to sell seats. Suddenly, we're supposed to believe a Clarkless Fever will pack the house there. That's not strategy, that's smoke and mirrors. And here's the real reason: optics. The league doesn't want TV cameras showing. Empty rows in Indiana. Empty seats don't lie. Ratings don't lie. So the plan is simple: shuffle tickets to sponsors, comp half the arena, and make it look alive for the broadcast. This sting wouldn't be so brutal if the WNBA hadn't spent the entire summer bragging about record-breaking growth. ESPN plastered graphics everywhere about how Caitlin Clark lifted all boats. But those boats had holes. The second she went down, the water came pouring in, and now the league is bailing with Dixie cups. And fans, they're not blind. They see exactly what's happening. You can only sell smoke and mirrors for so long before reality shows up. That Baltimore game where 3,000 ticket holders never even bothered to walk through the doors. That was fans voting with their feet. They're done being sold fake hype. And the old narrative, the WNBA is bigger than Caitlin Clark, yeah, that's collapsed. The numbers make it obvious. The moment she's out, the entire league fades into the background. Let's call it what it is. The WNBA has a dependency problem. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's the oxygen tank. Take her away, and everything goes silent. Moving Indiana's games to Atlanta doesn't fix that. It's window dressing, rearranging deck chairs while the ship is still going under. What makes it worse is how short-sighted this all is. Instead of building sustainable excitement around multiple stars, the league doubled down on Clark while pretending they didn't. That's how you end up here, bragging about record ratings one month, scrambling to hide empty arenas the next. And the hypocrisy? It's off the charts. Media outlets lecture fans that they should care about women's basketball for the cause. But guilt doesn't sell tickets. Guilt doesn't drive TV numbers. Fans want entertainment, not lectures. Clark delivered that. Without her, the product looks flat. Zoom out and it's not a new story. Sports thrive on stars. The NBA had Jordan, then Kobe and Shaq, then LeBron and Curry. The NFL shifted from Brady to Mahomes. MLB went from Bonds and Jeter to Trout and Ohtani. They learned how to market multiple icons at once. The WNBA, they pushed all their chips on Clark, and now when she's sidelined, the stage feels empty. Other stars, Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Angel Reese, they're elite talents no doubt, but the casual audience isn't tuning in. That's not a knock on their skill, it's just reality. So here's the million-dollar question. What happens if Clark isn't 100% by next season? Do the ratings nosedive again? Do they keep moving games to random markets, hoping nobody notices? Or do they finally admit the truth, that without her, the league is running on fumes? The WNBA had a golden opportunity. Viral highlights, ESPN coverage, packed arenas, a wave of new attention. But instead of laying a foundation for long-term stability, they milked Clark dry. And the second she was unavailable, the cracks were exposed. That's not growth, that's dependency. And fans aren't sticking around out of pity. If your league only matters when one player is on the court, then call it what it is. A niche league propped up by one star. That's fine if you embrace it, but pretending otherwise insults the fans. This Atlanta experiment will be the test. If those games flop, the league has nowhere to hide. If they manage a sellout, it'll be through giveaways, not genuine demand. Either way, the desperation is impossible to miss. At this point, it's not even the Women's National Basketball Association. It's the Caitlin Clark National Basketball Association. The receipts are undeniable. Without her, ratings nosedive, arenas empty, and ESPN recycles old highlights just to keep viewers engaged. So yes, the WNBA can shuffle schedules, spin stats, and pump out PR campaigns. But the truth is crystal clear. Caitlin Clark is the sun, and without her, the league is stuck in the dark. There you have it. The WNBA is scrambling, moving Indiana games to Atlanta, hoping no one notices the collapse without Caitlin Clark. Spoiler alert, we noticed.